different.
I don't even know where that's at.
It's if you look on the map, it's 3 hours from Chicago, and 2 hours from Iowa, and 3 hours from Des Moines. Yeah. I use a shot. Different light. Somewhat, more in the background.
¿Cómo se me hizo usted que estuvimos? ¿Perdón? ¿Cómo se me hizo usted que estuvimos que arriba estaba el mar, la dale, el estándar.
My brother still remembers that time very nice.
Really?
Very nice.
Fun.
Yeah, we had a shoot with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. But never that detailed.
Oh yes. That was neat.
They don't remember life before having 3 or 4 devices to help them live it or to entertain them as they go through it. So it's very exciting to envision this joint venture because we're going to learn so much from what we develop with Univision that we will take back into the Walt Disney Company and that Univision will take back into its company as well.
And it's a real sign of the times because as the 800-pound gorilla in ABC and Univision, there was a time when they never thought they'd work together, and specifically not in English was trends. Thank you. Tim. Yes. In everything you do, you seem to have a master plan. What is the core driving principle behind every move you make and every decision you do to move forward?
Well, believe me, we don't have a playbook that is perfect, and we don't have a magic formula. They have the magic formula. Our business is simple. We're trying to give the reason the world a cheer. We're trying to find different forms of entertainment for people, live entertainment in particular, to come partake in. And if you're in the sports business, it doesn't take you long to figure out, especially in a city like Los Angeles, when. That helps. That makes everything a little bit better. But we're trying to see the future as it relates to what our marketplace is, whether it be in London. And I remember when we built the O2 in London, it was the Millennium Dome. It was the most politically dangerous and negative project in the history of Tony Blair's government, except for that thing in the Middle East. And when we finally signed the deal, I remember listening to all of the political side and their lawyers cheer and toast each other, and I'm looking around going, man, I think they think we just made a big mistake. Now it turns out to be the #1 music venue in the world, just hosted the Summer Olympics, and it's one of the most profitable venues in the world. I think it's not just trying to understand your marketplace, but then sticking to a vision and a plan and understanding the world is a marathon, not a sprint.
Do you find it unusual that you've had to fight so hard to bring the spirit to Los Angeles?
I think we still are, and I still do think it's unusual. You can tell I'm the one with a private company because I will inevitably tick somebody off today with something I say. I always do. But our attitude towards politicians, and we happen to have a great mayor here who's our partner, and he agrees with the strategy. Just get out of our way. You've been unable to do it. You are not our future. You're not going to turn our economy around. Come preach to us all you want. This is about the business leaders. These are about the corporations. I figured with the Chamber of Commerce it was fairly simple. But this is about, I think in our society, and we saw this going through a football project with Farmers Field, where we're going to pay not only for 100% of the stadium privately, we're going to backstop the $350 million to redo the convention center so the taxpayers don't have to do it. And still, we got shot at. And what we learned pretty quickly is there are, a friend of mine said, they're cave people. And I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, well, they're citizens against virtually everything.
What are we seeing here? What's changing? And how can we get in on these big big, powerful deals?
Well, first of all, it's amazing it took us this long to convince a media company to ultimately come in and understand the majority marketplace is the Hispanic marketplace in Southern California. Not sure why it took us that long. We happen to have a football team. Understand we had 6 of 10 at one point when the league was just starting, so we used to win a lot of championships. Now we have to really work hard to win. So our team is the championship team, the Galaxy. And we always felt in this marketplace that it would be very successful, but that we weren't given an opportunity to go talk to what we think is the future of that brand. And now with Time Warner making a commitment to create a sports channel that's geared to the Hispanic marketplace, it not only creates an opportunity for the Galaxy and the Lakers to now go address our future majority marketplace and the fans that we're trying to grow, but in particular, I would hope that the collaboration between the teams, the collaboration between the distribution community, and the collaboration within the Hispanic community now begins to blossom as we begin to find ways to work together, to market together, to grow together, to sponsor together, to sell together. Amazing thing with the Galaxy, 40% of our population, 40% of our fans are the Hispanic community. And we used to cater to them by bringing over-the-hill players up here to play for the Galaxy. And the Hispanic fans were so smart, they read right through it, and they didn't want to come. They'd rather go see David Beckham win an MLS championship and make that their team, make that their pride, make that be their logo, make that be their passion. And what we've learned with them is if we ultimately make it friendly for them, if we ultimately win championships, and if at the end of the day we give them a brand that especially second generation Hispanic can begin to make their own, it's amazing how well that team has done. And I'm absolutely convinced that the future of that team is 100% dependent on the Hispanic community now.
Well, please applaud that. That's fantastic. Just one step further, because it was something that really irked me. You know, Maná, it's a wonderful band. It's not just a Latin band, but is a universal band. Plays at Staples and sells out more consecutive nights than the big U2, Britney Spears, and Justin Timberlake, and yet it doesn't get written up in the LA Times. What's happening?
Well, I personally think it's a shame. Maná is the largest selling act in the history of Staples Center. Bigger than U2, bigger than Britney Spears. And by the way, no offense against Britney, but they actually sing, so it's really cool.
He's the private company.
I told you we'd find one of those comments. At the end of the day, I think there is a lack of understanding in the traditional media where the power is, where the discretionary income is, and I think that there are some, and I won't, you named them, I won't, but I think they look past that, and they don't understand. That is the future, and the future is now. I was just down in Las Vegas, Caesars Coliseum. We've had great runs with Celine Dion and soon to be Shania Twain and Rod Stewart, but we were absolutely jam-packed this weekend for Luis Miguel, and he's right there with, he's right there with Celine Dion. So certainly our company is trying to catch up. And we're trying to understand in live entertainment, this is the future.
Got it. All right, George Halverson, you've done so much to make healthcare affordable and to reach diverse communities. You're a model of diversity at Kaiser.
About all of the patients all of the time. When you know what the patient's issues are, when you know what the patient's care plans are, when you know the conditions and the history, when you can interact with the patient, communicate with the patient, care gets better. And we've seen over the past couple of years, since we've invested $4 billion in electronic medical record and care support tools, that we're now winning just about every quality award in America. We won the Leapfrog Group for hospitals. We've won the Medicare just rated all health plans in America, 459 health plans, and they only gave 53 measures of quality and service, and they gave 5 stars to 9 plans in the country.
I'm going to come down here, work for a year, and go back up there and marry a guy up there. I hope he's not still waiting for me. Yeah, you know, I think fresh out of school, I wanted something that was challenging, that used my skills. I was trained as an engineer, and I really never anticipated, I never decided I was going to spend 35 years here. I think I'd be very fortunate to work for a company that is so large, so diverse, so full of very interesting kinds of things that I've actually had about 15 jobs within the gas company, everywhere from public affairs to IT to HR to customer services. And that's what's beautiful about this company, because my sense is that as long as I'm being challenged, as long as I'm learning and growing, why not? And the company offered me the opportunity to do that, so I just continue on. And so it's really been a very fun journey. It's been a journey of a lot of growth, and I'm just really fortunate to work for a company that really values people that come and bring diverse experience to the table.
Great. Thanks so much, Anne.
170 years old as a company, and when you look up productivity in the dictionary, you would see the American railroad industry. I was telling some people earlier, if you go back to the 70s, we had about 500,000 people in our industry. Today we have less than 200,000 people, and we're handling about 70% of all more freight than we used to handle that 30 years ago. And if you think about whether it's what you eat in California or the ports that are actually bigger than Hollywood, the commerce that comes from those ports, both inbound and outbound, if you think about the jobs that are created by truly efficient supply chains all over this country as well as the world, rail transportation is obviously the lowest cost, but it's also the most environmentally sensitive way to move freight. And while a lot of us think we don't think about every day when you go to the Walmarts and the Targets and the Home Depot and the Lowe's stores, and you go to buy something and you don't think a lot about where that came from. Chances are about 4 out of 10 times that came on a train, either coming an inbound move or an outbound move. So technology's really been at the forefront of our ability to stay in business. If you go back into the 70s, the American railroad industry was really left for dead. At that time, the country really was at a decision they made, and they could have privatized it, much like they did with our automobile industry a couple of years ago when we had our financial meltdown. Instead, they decided to partially deregulate it. And what that meant was that the marketplace sorted it out. And there's a lot of things that have happened, some good and some bad when that occurred. But it forced the railroads to turn to productivity, just to become relevant in the future society. It was just like when back in the late last century and in the early part of this century, when everybody thought we were going to go to a bricks and mortar from a point and click society, and everybody's going to buy everything on the internet. Again, everybody thought, well, the railroad's going to be out of business. Well, the biggest user of the railroads is United Parcel Service. So when you order something from Amazon, guess how it gets shipped to you? You probably don't know that. Federal Express is now one of our fastest growing customers on the railroad. So technology's been at the forefront of everything that we do, and it's got huge implications to our workforce, and more importantly, our future workforce. We were talking about earlier again, when a train goes down the track, literally it is downloading information to a cellular network, which is uploading into our mainframes, and it's diagnosing things like the locomotive health of what the locomotive's actually doing. We have our data set. I can tell you that it's really, Mitt Romney said something a while back. He said, corporations are people, which I disagree with, but corporations are made up of people. And why that's so important is that it's really imperative that the Hispanic Chamber, continues to understand the real focus and the real prize. And the real prize here is to reiterate to corporate leaders of the compelling reason of why American business ought to care about Hispanics. Don't forget, 50 million potential consumers, huge number. But each corporation has a different compelling vision for the global issue of diversity. I mean, American Airlines sells literally to people that live just in New York City. They target people in New York City. AT&T has huge programs for the Hispanic community, for the African American community. BNSF, we're not a consumer company, so we could run ads all day long in Spanish, and nobody would ever say, I think I'll go order a boxcar of barley. That's not what you all are going to do. Nobody does. But at BNSF, you know, we're based in Fort Worth, Texas. Texas, right? What's the biggest population in Texas? Hispanic. And if my company doesn't reflect where we operate, Texas, then we're not going to have the opportunity to have people come work for us to lead the future of our industry. So what I would just encourage you to do is keep doing a large part of what you're doing. These are corporations led by people react to constructive dialogue. What you all did today with Governor Romney, that begins the constructive debate that is so important to the Hispanic population. And it is a big debate. You could go on and on, whether it's education or immigration or job growth or all those things. And perhaps this was the first day that we'll really have those discussions. But having these affinity groups, having these coalitions in a constructive manner, I will tell you, is really powerful, because the vast majority of public companies, at least, that do react to that creative tension have goals around how many Hispanics they're going to hire, how many Hispanics they're going to promote. And we need that, because Hispanics don't reflect specifically senior leadership in America today. And hopefully long-term, the goal at our company, long-term, is to get rid of our diversity goals. That we won't need them, and that our company is just a mirror image of our society. Until we get there, we're going to have all these little assistance programs that will eventually get us where we need to go. So just keep up the constructive advocacy. And I've used the word constructive now many times, because if it's not constructive, it's not helpful.
Because they are proud of their heritage and proud of the city and proud of the majority population base. Find more people like that share the same agenda you do, and make sure that they're sitting with us every time they can and making sure it's as high a priority for us as it is for them.
Fantastic. And one last question, please.
Could I
Please, George, yes.
a partial answer to that question? Don't want to presume to give you advice on how to function as chambers, but it strikes me that one of the very best things you could do as chambers of commerce would be to set up sessions where you model and show local heroes, the Hispanic business leaders, Hispanic caregivers, but basically give the kids at a formative age someone to look to and emulate and build a life story around, because far too many life stories don't have built into them the possibility of success in those areas, and kids need to see someone who looks like them and talks like them succeeding in those areas in many cases to have that. So I would recommend that's what the chambers do.
Thank you, George. I've been trying to let you speak. Please, your last question.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you for being here. My name is Ileana Juan, and I lead the Hispanic group at General Mills. And one question I have for you, our biggest challenge today is driving innovation. And I believe that diversity and diverse thinking drives innovation. So I want to understand from your perspective, to see the opportunities for the rest of the Hispanic businesses present here today, what is the biggest challenges that your company have that we can help solve?
And you want to take that one on?
The biggest challenge always is knowing who our viewers are, who our consumers are. So I would put that forward as our biggest challenge, because it's not enough to look at a piece of paper and say, so many people are so old, or go to this school, or go to that school, or play these sports. That's not enough information. What we really look for, and our greatest challenge, is really understanding what's going on with, if you're Disney, certainly with kids and with families. So anything you can do to continue to break this down for us, to talk to us about what goes on in your life. Some of the most successful research we have ever done as a company wasn't taking a show out and saying, do you like this character or that character? We asked kids very simply, what do you do after school? What time do you go to bed? What do you eat for dinner? Who do you eat dinner with? Who are your heroes? So it's that kind of research. So helping us understand our viewers, I think, would be the biggest
Just one, keep on coming back to LA. Thank you very much. You can tell we have a new hotel. Two, if you happen to know anyone at the National Hockey League Players Association and the commissioner of the National Hockey League, tell them this is really not smart. Three, I guess just help us make sure that we have an infrastructure within each of our communities so we can continue the dialogue. This is phenomenal, but if we walk out of here today and it's the last time we all talk, it's probably not going to result in what you want or we want. And so we have to continue the dialogue. Any way you could help us do that would be very much appreciated.
Could I maybe just say, we need help in every facet of our business is our workforce. I mean, about 50% of our workforce at my company within the next 5 to 10 years could retire. So we are really looking for talent. Anything, engineers, communicators, public affairs, financial types. So that's kind of the people that are full of energy and passion and innovation. So no matter what walks of life, we would like to be able to hire talent.
Well, our time is up, and let's put our hands together and thank this amazing
You all know the power of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. You know what we're about. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. And we have grown this organization tremendously in the last couple of years because we have talked about the contributions that our Hispanic businesses make to the American economy. But the reason we work is through the good graces, the support, and the collaboration of people like the one standing on this stage. We could not thank you enough for your leadership, for your decency, and most of all, for taking the time that you did to spend with us. Thank you all.
Staff had a speech like this. I get there and it's a big party. So then they say, well, sir, there's another opportunity to speak to the most important Latino-owned businesses around the country, CEOs from other major Fortune 500 companies will be here with them. We prepared another speech for you. And then I walk in and I see a martini, a bottle of champagne, a glass of wine in everybody's hand, and of course the 3 young people that escorted me in here, they won't have a job tomorrow. Just kidding. Look, I want to welcome you. This is a party, so I'm not going to give a big long speech, thankfully, for all of you. But I do want to say a couple of things about LA. Now, this is the 33rd U.S. Hispanic Chamber. This is the first time that you've come to LA in 16 years. And I would like to invite you to come again, to make it a more regular occurrence. And there's a reason for it. Look, there are a lot of great cities represented here. I took pictures with people from Houston, Chicago's here, New York's here, Miami's here. Great cities in America. But I don't have to tell you, this is the epicenter. The metropolitan area is the epicenter of the Latino market. It's the epicenter of Latino-owned businesses. It's the epicenter of Latino entrepreneurs. It just is. And so coming to this city is something that you should do, because this is the market. If it works here, it works anywhere. It really does. And let me tell you a couple of things about this city. By the way, this wasn't here, 10 years ago. I was Speaker of the Assembly. The city was trying to put together the resources to put Disney Hall. They couldn't raise city money. And they came to me. I put $5 million at the time for this back outside area. Disney Hall now is an iconic place in LA. One of the many iconic places there are in this town. This town is transformed, for those of you who haven't been here in 16 years. Here's a couple of tidbits. Safer than any time since 1952. Anytime, I was shining shoes in 1959 downtown. This city is safer. It's the second safest big city in the United States of America. Crime has gone down 41%, violent crime, since I've been mayor. You go downtown, down Grand, you go on Main Street, which used to be a really tough place to be at night. You can walk there at 12 o'clock at night. You can walk anywhere around LA Live, and I know some of you were there yesterday at the Marriott. We're building that Marriott Convention Center hotel. 2 hotels we're in the process of building as we speak. Another 6 are in the pipeline to be built in that area. We just passed through my planning commission. It's about to go to the council, but I expect that it will pass there as well. The EIR and for environmental impact report and the development agreement for the Farmers Field. We're going to bring a football team here. If you go to Hollywood, it used to be that in Hollywood, that everybody wanted to come to Hollywood, but once they got there, they stayed about 22 minutes. Now they stay 2 days. If you go to Hollywood, it's transformed. Century City, all across the valley. This city is changing before our eyes. Today, in the last 7 years, four light rail lines completed. We're in construction for 2 more. Next, which will be completed in a couple of years. Later in the year, we're starting construction on another light rail line. That puts us at 8. We're putting a subway, extending the subway, and another light rail line beginning of next year. Game changer. We're in the process of doubling the size of the rail system in LA. So if you're looking, usually when people come to my town, I like to say, shop till you drop. Go to the restaurants, buy food, drink a lot of wine. We need your revenues. But I also want to say to some of you, because there are a lot of business people, buy a business here, locate a business here. There's a reason why Xi Jinping came from China, and when he was looking at cities to come, he came to this town. This is the city where the world comes together. It's not only the center of Latinos in the United States of America. 48% of the city is Latino, but 74% of the city comes from Latin America, Asia, and Africa. We have the largest Latino, Asian, and African American middle classes. So when you look at this town, its market, in almost every industry you can think of, it's either the #1 or #2 market. We struggle with New York from time to time, but it's a place to do business. And I can tell you that business is on our mind. We've eliminated the gross receipts tax. You operate a business over the last 3 years, you don't pay any taxes in this town if you want to come here. And we're extending that, I think, tomorrow or the next day for another 3 years, because we're in the middle of a recession, and we think it's really important to bring businesses into this town. It used to be that when you came to LA, you had to go to 12 different departments, and they would tell you 12 different things, and it was on you to hire some lobbyist or somebody to navigate through the red tape, and then you'd have to figure out the contradictory declarations, requirements that they were putting on you. Now you go to one. We have them all there, and they have to work it out, not you. And so as a result, it's a lot faster to develop in this town, to put your factory here. That's why you're seeing we're still the manufacturing capital of the United States of America, and you're seeing manufacturing coming back. There were 3,600 fashion jobs that came to America from China and abroad last year. 3,200 of them were in LA. So when you look at LA, the center of clean tech, a place where increasingly we're starting to see new tech at Silicon Beach and Venice, there's a lot going on here. We've got some really good people that were walking with me that giving out cards or whatever they're doing, writing long speeches that nobody wants to hear. So obviously they don't have enough work to do. So just kidding, I like to mess with my kids. So I want to thank you, I want to welcome you to LA and just say that I hope that if there are voting members here on the board who decide where you're going to come, this should be on the regular schedule. Every 3 to 5 years. Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's be honest, everybody, from the cities you come from. If you're in those cities right now, you're sweltering in 95-degree heat with 100-degree humidity or whatever. I don't know what they call humidity. 100 something. You know, here, look at this weather and the people. Is it cool? So, welcome to LA, and para los que hablan español, quiero dar la bienvenida a todos. Esta es una ciudad hermosa, una ciudad que está creciendo, una ciudad pacífico y seguro, una ciudad donde invitamos a los que quieren establecer un negocio aquí en Los Ángeles. Thank you, have a great time.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for your presence. The presence that I know most of these by name, but this one, I love the opportunity to recognize Monica Lozano whenever I can, because her work in our community, in our country, she really is a true Hispanic success story and a true advocate for all women across the country. And it took one phone call and one meeting to say, you know what, here's what we're trying to do. We're having the largest gathering of Hispanic business leaders in America. Can you help? And immediately she said, done. 5 phone calls, 5 CEOs. Monica Lozano, thank you so much for everything you have done for the USHCC.
That's Latino power. Sorry.
Mr. Jorge Benitez, Chief Executive of the United States and Managing Director for Accenture North America, to the stage. Please come and welcome me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him before I give him his award. You see, Jorge Benitez is one of the highest ranking Latino for Accenture, and I loved my conversation. Again, 2 seconds. We got on the phone. Of the 172 corporations of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I'm proud to say, 80% of them are using Accenture? And we talked a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish here, and you know what? 5 minutes, he said, sign me up. I am there, whatever I need to do to help. And it's such with great pride that I get to talk about a Hispanic CEO in this manner, because, you know, there aren't many of them, and when they are, you've got to get them engaged. Again, the USHCC is part of that dialogue, and Mr. Benitez.
What this is about, and why they're here, and we're all here, is to acknowledge the contributions that American small businesses make to this country. At the end of the day, almost 70% of jobs in this country are created by small firms. And any strategic leader, public or private, recognizes that very clearly. We as a Hispanic community need to contribute, we need to participate, and we need to continue what we're doing here at the USHCC. And as I always like to do, I like to keep it real. You know that about me, and I like to talk about real success stories. And along those lines, I'm going to embarrass a young woman once again, because I'm not sure that she knows, but Ann Sweeney, as you know, is working with ABC and Univision, and they have selected a team to help them to build the strategy to reach the Hispanic community most effectively. And part of that team, a member of that team, is one of our own, Mr. Jorge Plasencia from República, standing right there. That's real. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about corporate leaders like this one engaging HBE leaders like that one and creating jobs and economic development at a time when we need it most. Thank you, Ann Sweeney. We appreciate that very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. As friends and allies of the USHCC, you are familiar with who we are, what we do, and what we have been doing for the last 30 years to advance the cause of Hispanic entrepreneurship and all business in America. Because while we proudly advocate on behalf of business owners and job creators who happen to be of Hispanic descent, we are first and foremost American businesses. And every job we create, every tax bill we pay, every person we employ, every product we manufacture, and every service we provide goes to benefit this American economy. And we're at the forefront of leading this country out of the economic downturn that we're all collectively suffering through. Tonight and over the next couple of days, I will be speaking, as I have in years past, about the people who we admire. Because the USHCC is not about the USHCC. The reason we're growing at a rate that is unprecedented, the reason that we have increased 318% in the last 2.5 years, the reason we have added, Madam Chair, 78 new corporate sponsors, not 74 as of last night, is because we're filling a void. We're providing a voice to the people who have for a long time contributed to this country. And so what I want to do is talk about our friends, our mentors, and our role models. As you may know, at the USHCC, we advocate on behalf of businesses that are doing their share. And we do this through a network of over 200 local chambers and business associations throughout the country. And I want to thank you as the top business leaders of our nation for what you do for these American businesses across our network and for our country's economy, helping us as a nation recover during these very challenging times, because you recognize that small business is the backbone of our nation's economy. Now, our businesses collectively contribute over $460 billion, as I mentioned earlier. And I'd like to take this opportunity to illustrate the type of contribution I'm talking about. Once again, to illustrate in real terms who we are and what we are. I want to do so by sharing with you a little about just one of these remarkable American success stories. Mr. David Hernandez, standing somewhere out here. David. David built a company called Liberty Power, and how aptly named. David and Alberto founded Liberty Power just a short decade ago with a dream, literally a dream, and nothing more than a plan. Today their company is, listen to this, today their company is the largest independent supplier of retail electricity overall, not Hispanic, not minority. Largest independent supplier of retail electricity overall in the country, and one of the 10 largest Hispanic-owned businesses in the United States. Businesses of all size, as well as city, state, national government agencies, rely on Liberty for low-cost electricity and service that they have come to trust. Liberty Power is the largest minority-owned energy provider as well, providing and meeting the needs of Fortune 500 customers without the need to displace other minority-owned companies. Because as you see, when David gets the contract, he pays it forward. He hires other minority-owned firms to help him fill the needs of his corporate clients and his government clients. And that is real leadership. And that's the kind of people that the USHCC is about. From New York to Texas, and around our nation's capital, throughout Maryland and the Washington, D.C. area, and licensed to sell electricity in literally dozens of other states in the United States. We are blessed to be surrounded by phenomenal leaders, but we are inspired most by those who, frankly, we forget about too often. They may not be household names, but they are making a difference in the lives of thousands of people who need it most. Before we leave here tonight, I hope we all take a moment to think about the blessings that we have. And again, at the USHCC, it's not about telling